This podcast is brought to you by our friends at Anchor by Spotify. And if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. No specialty training or equipment needed. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast worldwide on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, like I've been saying, Anchor is totally free. It's free. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started and make your podcast dreams a reality. That's anchor.fm. What are you waiting for? Download the app. This is Red Light, Green Light 1, 2, 3 with D and Z. Here are your hosts, D and Z. Welcome to this week's episode of Red Light, Green Light 1, 2, 3 with D and Z. I am Z, and here's how it goes. D and I give you our top 1, 2, 3 fantasy starts, or green lights, and our top 1, 2, 3 fantasy sits, or red lights. We're going to start with our red lights first. D, who are your top sits for the week?
Oh, it's a guy who's got two teams in the playoffs and was unable to solidify a bye. This week is so crucial. And I've got some weird stuff for everyone. First one I have is I am sitting Geno Smith. It's a tough call. For a lot of you, he's probably been the reason why you made the playoffs, but he only scored 6 points against the 49ers last time. And the 49ers have the number one defense in the league. And did you see what they did to Tom Brady and the Bucs last week? No, thank you. And I hate Thursday night games. So I am benching Geno Smith. Next up, Tua. Man, it's Buffalo. It's December. It's a night game. I don't think I have to say anymore. And number 3, I alluded to this in the show this week, but I really feel like the Patriots are going to play Devontae Adams. They're going to double him. I feel like there's going to be a safety over the top of him the whole game. And I think they're going to force the Raiders to run the rock with Jacobs. And I think they're going to force them to throw the ball to other receivers. Let's see what you got.
I'm going to start with Mark Andrews. Right? Lamar Jackson's not there. Lamar Jackson's favorite weapon. But Lamar Jackson ain't there. Plain and simple. Like, his production takes a hit when Lamar Jackson is not there. And you know what? Division rival. The Browns are still in this. They have something to play for. And their defense is not terrible. They've got some players on that team. So, Mark Andrews, sorry, buddy. Take a seat. Take your pick. Kenny Pickett or Mitchell Trubisky. Doesn't matter. They are just anemic right now. Whoever's starting for the Steelers, if you're starting one of those guys, chances are there was an injury and you're just like riding it out. But neither one of those guys are all that great. And Mitch is actively going to cost you the game like he did last week. And Mike White. The immortal Mike White. And this is not a performance deal. I just don't think he's going to be healthy enough to play. Like, if his 2 fractured ribs, 1 bad hit, and he's done. That's too risky, especially come playoff time. Can you afford to have that? Can you afford to have your quarterback put up 1 point because he left in the second quarter with broken ribs? Most fantasy teams can't. So I would avoid that risk, and hopefully you have somebody else waiting in the wings. But those are our red lights. Who are our green lights this week?
All right, so just talking about that Patriot game, I'm gonna start Josh Jacobs, mainly because I think they're going to take Devontae out of the game, and we saw what James Conner did against the Patriots this past week. I think he had something like 20 points. One of the other ones I'm happy about starting on my team this week is the Kansas City defense against the Texans. If they're available on the waiver wire, pick them up. Dameon Pierce is out. The Chiefs are coming off of a game where they scored 20 points on the Broncos, fantasy-wise. And my last one might surprise you, but it's St. Brown, wide receiver on the Lions against the Jets. I think this will be a high-scoring game. I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth in this. Gardner will likely take Chark out, leaving Brown to roam free, and they do like hitting Brown when they're in the red zone. See what he got.
Well, let's start with the Thursday night game.
Let's start with Thursday night game.
It's hard. This is a tough one. But when you have the Niners, it's easy. Like, you can take your pick of any of the studs, right? Yeah, Debo's hurt. You got Ayuk. He moves up. Jennings will get some burn. Xavier McLeod will play. George Kittle's still there. But I think this is the Christian McCaffrey show. I think this is the game that they got him for. This is the game that will seal the deal in the division and put the death knell in the Seattle Seahawks. So, Christian McCaffrey, big play, make it happen. Number 2, I like Chris Olave. I like him a lot with the Saints. He has good rapport with Andy Dalton. The kid can play. Like, his catch radius is fantastic. He knows how to get the job done. And I think that he's going to show up big time in the division matchup, and the Saints are going to leapfrog the Atlanta Falcons. And then last but not least, I like Devontae Smith against the Bears. You can take your pick, right, of the Eagles players. A.J. Brown, you can go down the list. Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts. I think Devontae Smith is going to have a fantastic game, and he is going to torch the Chicago Bears. But those are ours. What are yours? Hit us up. FadeRouteMail@gmail.com, or slide in those DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast, or drop us a line on Twitter at FadeRouteDNZ. It's time for us to run the go route again. We'll talk to you next week.
If you want to get on the action, we want to hear from you. Hit us up, FadeRouteMail@gmail.com. Slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast. Drop us a DM on Twitter at FadeRouteDNZ. Comment on our YouTube channel, The Fade Route with DNZ. Questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it, we want to hear from you. Get at us, in crowd.